So once you register your business as a limited company here in the UK, there's going to be so many different taxes that you're going to need to pay. But one of the main taxes that you're going to need to pay, or one of the main taxes that every single business owner needs to pay here in the UK, is something called corporation tax. Now, corporation tax is going to be 19% of whatever your business does in profit. So for example, if your business makes, let's say, £100,000 in profit for one financial year, that means that your company is going to have to pay 19% of that, which is going to be £19,000 in corporation tax. So one of the first things that you need to be aware of when it comes to saving money on your tax bill is that you need to make sure that you're maximizing your deductions. And when I say that you should maximize your deductions, what I mean by that is you should make sure that you're legally writing off as many expenses as possible, because the more expenses that you put through your business, the less your tax bill is going to be. This is one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of new business owners make, is that they're not fully educated on what they're allowed to write off, and because of that, they end up paying more taxes than what they should pay. So to give you a basic example of what I'm talking about, I'm just going to jump into the laptop and let's look at this company here, which is called Subscribe to My Channel Ltd. And we're first going to look at the revenue. As you can see, this company has made £50,000 in 1 year. The expenses that they have put through their business is £20,000, which means that the taxable amount is £30,000, which means that their corporation tax bill at the end of the year is going to be £5,700. But the mistake that most of you are making if you are doing your taxes yourself is that you're not writing off all the possible expenses that you can put through your business. Most of you are probably putting through the obvious ones. So for example, you're probably writing off the eBay fees in terms of your expenses, postage fees, advertising fees, the inventory, Amazon fees if you're selling on Amazon, maybe some softwares that you're using. And all of this is probably what's adding up to this £20,000 right here. But what you guys need to realize is that there's so many other expenses that you can put for your business. Like for example, most of you probably don't realize that you can write off your phone bill. So for example, right here, I've got the new iPhone 11 Pro and I pay a certain amount for this every single month. But because this phone contract is in the name of my business, that means that I don't need to pay for it myself personally, and I'm able to write off my corporation tax bill at the end of the year. Similar with my other phone over here, my iPhone 11 Pro, I use this strictly for business, which means that I'm able to write off the entire amount that I paid for this phone off my tax bill. Same thing goes for most of the things that I use for my business. So let's say my laptop over here, I'm able to write this off my tax bill. With the monitor that you can see behind me, everything that I buy for my business, I'm able to write all of those things off my business. And this is what most people don't realize. Some of you guys will probably use your phone to conduct business, or maybe you might even buy a new laptop just for you to use it for your business, but you're not realizing that you can actually take that amount off your tax bill. Same thing goes with your housing cost. Now, most of you are probably running your business from your house, which means that whatever you're paying in terms of rent or your mortgage, you're able to deduct a certain percentage of that off your tax bill because you're operating your business from your house. Similar with your broadband bills, similar with your housing costs, for example, electricity, water, gas, whatever you use in your house for the purposes of your business, you can take that off your tax bill. Travel expenses. Now, most of you are probably traveling to and from the post office to ship out your orders, or you're maybe driving to a business meeting, or you're driving somewhere for the purposes of your business. You're able to take off whatever you paid for petrol or fuel off your tax bill. Again, with equipment, everything you buy that you use for your business, you need to make sure that you're keeping a log of it somewhere so that at the end of the year, you can now take that off your total expenses, which means that your corporation tax bill is going to be reduced. So let's say, for example, after watching this video, you realize that your expenses for the year isn't £20,000 and you've now added it up and it comes to a total of £40,000 in terms of your expenses. That means that your tax bill is now going to drop down to £1,900. So instead of you paying £5,700, you're going to be able to cut your tax bill down by more than half. So this is what most eBay millionaires do, or most e-commerce business owners do. They realize that yes, it's great to make money. Yes, it's great to make a lot of profit. But if you're not smart when it comes to optimizing your taxes in the best way, then you're not going to be able to keep as much money as you can. So moving on to one of the next types of tax that most eBay millionaires need to pay, and it's one of the taxes that I need to pay myself as well, which is VAT, or value added tax. Now, in my opinion, I would say that this is one of the biggest headaches when it comes to growing your business, is that once you reach £85,000 in revenue within one financial year, you're going to have to register for something called VAT. And what this is a tax that you now need to basically charge your customer. So for example, once you become VAT registered, you're going to have to add 20% onto your selling price of your items, which means that you're going to have to collect that VAT on the government's behalf. And every single quarter or every single year, you're going to have to give that money back to them. So essentially, it's not the business owner that needs to pay for the tax, it's the customer that's paying for the tax, because as I already said, the business needs to add the 20% VAT onto the prices that they're selling the items for. And if you go to any shop within the UK and you look at your receipt, you're going to realize that there was a 20% VAT added on to the actual price of the item. And then every quarter, every year, the business owner now needs to give that back to the government. But the reason why I still feel like this is a tax that any business needs to pay is because not all business owners are going to be able to increase their prices, which means that once you cross over to £85,000 in revenue, you're going to have to now pay this extra tax out of your own pocket. And the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is because one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of new eBay sellers or business owners make in general is the fact that they want to be VAT registered even before they've reached the threshold of £85,000 in one financial year. And the advice that I can give you is to not do that, because you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to be giving money to the government where you're not going to be able to keep that money and reinvest it back into your business. So my advice to new e-commerce business owners is to wait until you reach the threshold before you sign up to VAT. Now, it is important for me to let you know that when it comes to VAT, you are going to be able to save money on your VAT bill if you reclaim things that you bought through your business and you look at the receipt and you see that you paid a certain amount of VAT. So for example, I bought this hard drive for one of my businesses and I looked at the receipt and I saw that I paid around £20 in VAT. So when I got my tax bill for that quarter, I was able to take that £20 that I paid already in VAT off the total amount that I was due to pay. So the next important thing that you need to make sure that you're doing is tracking all the VAT that you're buying for your business. And this is important to do because not everything that you're going to buy for your business is going to have VAT on it. So you need to make sure that you're not just assuming that you've paid a certain amount. Otherwise, you may end up getting in trouble. And it's important to make sure that you look at every single invoice, every single receipt that you get for all of your expenses, total up all of the VAT amounts that you've paid over the certain amount of time, and write that off your VAT bill if you are VAT registered. One of the biggest forms of VAT that I pay as an e-commerce business owner that imports from China is import taxes. I pay a certain amount every single time I import a shipment from China in import taxes, and I'm able to deduct that amount off my VAT bill. And the reason why I'm able to do this is because every single time I import from my suppliers in China, I always make sure that they have my EORI number, and with this number, they give it to the shipping company. The shipping company updates my records with HMRC. So HMRC already know how much I paid in import taxes for that month. And at the end of the month, HMRC now sends me a certificate to show how much I paid. And that amount I'm able to use when it comes to deducting a certain amount off my VAT bill that I get. So the most important things to remember when it comes to VAT is that make sure that you register for VAT when it makes sense for you to do so. Don't do it early, don't do it late. Make sure that you're tracking all of the VAT that you bought through your business, all of the small expenses, all of the big ones. Make sure that you look at every single invoice and every single receipt. And also remember that if you are importing from China and you're paying a certain amount in import taxes, you're going to be able to deduct this amount off your VAT bill that you get as well. So moving on to one of the final ways that e-commerce millionaires save money on their taxes, which is that they do their bookkeeping every month instead of waiting until the end of the year. And the reason why this is important to do is because of everything I discussed in this video about maximizing your deductions. If you're able to have an idea of how much your tax bill is going to be in, let's say, March, you're going to be able to either buy something for your business around that time because you're going to get an idea of how much you're going to owe to HMRC. And another reason why this is important to do as well is because you don't want to wait until the end of the year, scramble around looking for receipts, looking for invoices, just for you to make a mistake on your tax bill. That's going to be a bigger headache than you just doing your taxes every single month. This is a mistake that I made when I first started my e-commerce business. I always waited until the last minute for me to do my bookkeeping, get an idea of how much I owed in corporation taxes and submit my taxes. And because I did it in the last minute, I never had enough time for me to buy something that I needed for my business and reduce my tax bill. However, if I was doing my bookkeeping every month, January, February, March, etc., I would have had an idea of how much I owed, which meant that I would have been able to put money aside for my actual taxes, as well as make a big purchase that would have reduced my tax bill. So it's very important to bear this in mind. Make sure that you're keeping up to date with everything every month so that you don't have a big surprise at the end of the year when it comes to the taxes that you're going to have to pay. Now, of course, everything that I discussed in this video is just for education and entertainment purposes only. Even though I worked as a financial accountant in London City, and even though I run my own e-commerce businesses and I've managed my taxes for around 8 to 7 years now, I want you to go away and do your own research, or even hire a professional accountant, whatever you need to do to make sure that you're getting the best advice possible. But I just wanted this video to be a guide, just to give you some sort of insight into exactly how you need to be thinking when it comes to making money with your e-commerce business. Yes, that's perfect, but also doing what you can do to keep as much money as possible by reducing your taxes. And if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to press the like button, don't forget to subscribe as well. Hit the bell notification so that YouTube can let you know when a new video has been released. And if you want to sign up to a free webinar where I go through my story in terms of what I needed to do, what I needed to learn for me to scale my eBay sales to over $3,000 per day, every single day, then click the first link in my description down below. Or if you ever watch another video where I show you exactly how to do your bookkeeping so that you have an understanding of how to structure your bookkeeping every single month, then click the link right there, because I've already made a video breaking this down and it's helped out a lot of people and you're definitely going to enjoy it. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you stay safe out there. Peace.